The Agenda is powered by DART, Delaware's transit service, moving forward.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Agenda. It's your host, Kerwin Gaines, coming to you again with another special report. Things are happening so fast that we don't even have studio time right now to come in and see you. So we're having our guests reach out to us via Zoom, and they're doing so because they want to talk to you and ensure that you're on the agenda and your issues are on the agenda. And we're doing that today. This season has been great. Thank you so much for all of the folks that are watching and leaving comments and giving us ideas and talking to us about some of the things that are going on in our area. We appreciate it here at DETV. Thank you so much. But we're bringing a Delaware favorite to you today, and that is Senator Sarah McBride is here. Hello, Senator McBride.
Hello, it's good to see you, Kerwin. I always love joining the agenda. Thanks for having me back on.
No problem. We love it when you're here. Since we've talked, I don't even think we can talk about all the stuff that has happened. But over the past 2 weeks, let's just put a demark and say the past 2 weeks, we've had a assassination attempt on a former president. We've had the current president decide that he did not and want to run for re-election. The current vice president seems to be a nomination favorite at this time, and she's actually in the city of Wilmington today to talk to the president, to talk to the constituents. I mean, so much going on. Let's take this in bits and pieces. You are actively seeking a seat in the House of Representatives representing Delawareans. We're excited about that. But I mean, this is one heck of a time for you to jump in. What are your thoughts right now on, we'll say the first thing, and that's Delaware's favorite, President Biden, deciding that he does not want to continue his re-election campaign for 2024?
Sure. Well, you're absolutely right that the last several weeks have been incredibly eventful, perhaps some of the most eventful few weeks we've seen in modern American politics. The assassination attempt was a horrific and tragic moment that reflected the too high temperatures that we're seeing right now in our politics. And of course, the decision by President Biden not to seek re-election obviously is a decision that for many Delawareans was met with sadness. We know and we love Joe, but it was an act of profound patriotism. This president has done what he has done throughout his life and throughout his career, which is to put this country first, regardless of the impact on his own ambition, his own career. The decision not to seek re-election was a selfless act. And it clearly paves the way for Vice President Harris to not only become the Democratic nominee, but to become the next president of the United States, to shatter a national glass ceiling, and to continue to build on the Biden-Harris administration, their administration's record. What is clear is that the 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration have been some of the most productive and consequential in modern American history. They passed the largest investment in our infrastructure since the 1950s, the first gun safety package since the 1990s, the largest expansion of healthcare since the ACA, and the single most significant step to combat climate change of any nation on Earth. That is a record that any two-term president could be proud of, let alone a one-term president. And so as he prepares to leave office in January 2025, I know Delaware continues to be proud of Joe Biden. I know Delaware has a lot to be proud of in Joe Biden's record. And it is an incredibly impactful record that I know Vice President Harris will continue to carry forward as the nominee and hopefully as the next president of the United States.
Senator McBride, let me ask you, and I have to be as blunt as I possibly can in regards to this. Do you think, in your political knowledge, you've been in this game a very long time, long enough to know if a candidate has the horsepower or not to make it, right? So I think for some of us, we're very excited that Vice President Harris is going after this feat, and we're going to support her. But at this late stage in the game, I would consider this close to quarter three or quarter four of the game. Do you believe that she has what it takes to secure another Democratic precedent?
You know, it's a great question. And I can say without hesitation that I know Vice President Harris has what it takes to win this election and to serve capably as our next president. I was actually with the vice president on Saturday, speaking at a rally alongside her. And let me tell you, she was incredible. And the crowd was so enthusiastic for her. This was the day before President Biden's announcement, but she showed at that rally, as she has shown already over the last, particularly several weeks on the campaign trail, that she is an energizing force in the Democratic Party. She is an exciting force in the Democratic Party. And I think we have to look no further than the fact that over the last 24 hours, Vice President Harris's campaign has raised nearly $100 million, the largest sum raised in a 24-hour period in political history in this country. That doesn't happen by chance. That happens because of the enthusiasm of thousands and thousands and thousands of grassroots supporters across this country who are fired up to win this election, who are fired up to elect Vice President Harris as the next president of the United States, who are fired up to flip the United States House of Representatives and keep the Senate. This, as I mentioned before, this decision by President Biden was an act of service and patriotism, and it has been a jolt in the arm for the Democratic Party. It has reinvigorated the chances of the Democratic Party to win up and down the ballot. And I am confident that Vice President Harris has what it takes to be our standard bearer, which was why I was proud to be one of the first elected officials to endorse her on Sunday after the announcement by President Biden that he would not be seeking re-election.
So do you, in your opinion, when you're seeing the campaign funds, because you yourself have raised quite a bit of money in your campaign race, do you feel that so many folks have kind of held back their donations when they felt that it was President Biden, and now that there is someone new that is not him, they're donating? Or do you believe that this is like more of an invigoration, as you said, behind it, and they're like, hey, let's go, let's do this, and this sounds like a great idea, and they're just contributing to that? Just curious to know your thoughts.
So I think if you look at the record, the president was raising a significant amount through grassroots donors throughout the course of the last year. Now, I think the last couple of weeks, we did see a slowdown. I think not because of a lack of enthusiasm for President Biden, but I think in many ways, people felt like politics was on pause over the last few weeks as the Democratic Party, as President Biden worked through these difficult conversations that were happening about what the future of this election and the future of the party looks like. I think to what you just said, the last 24 hours of donations to Vice President Harris's campaign is not a reflection of a lack of enthusiasm toward President Biden. It's a reflection of the newly re-energized party of politics being taken off hold as they felt like they were for the last few weeks, and the commitment of this party and of our grassroots supporters to win this race. I think people recognize that we have a great candidate in Vice President Harris. They recognize that the Biden-Harris administration has accomplished a historic amount over the last 4 years. And I think they are excited to see her continue to move that agenda forward, to pass affordable childcare and paid family and medical leave for every family, to guarantee affordable housing and healthcare for every person, and to combat the epidemic of gun violence, and to finally protect abortion rights. federally here in the United States at a time when we've seen the Supreme Court undermine reproductive freedom nationwide. And so I think people are fired up for her. I think they're fired up for the message. And I think they're fired up to get back to work and to focus on the job before us over the next several months, which is to win this race.
Yeah, I've seen and on some of the right-wing media, they're requesting for the 25th Amendment to actually be invoked, saying that, President Biden at this point is not fit to continue. It's obvious, blah, blah, blah. I don't agree with that message. I'm trying to be as impartial as I possibly can, but I don't agree with that message. What's the feeling? You mentioned, excuse me, that you spent some time with Vice President Harris on the campaign trail last week or this weekend. What is your feeling of the Biden side of things? How is the president handling this, to your knowledge? How is the staff handling this moving forward? They still have a lot of work to do. He's not leaving tomorrow. I mean, we still have quite a few months here left, and the country still needs to run.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's no question in my mind that Joe Biden continues to be up for the job. I think Joe Biden was up for the job for another 4 years. The decision by Joe Biden not to seek re-election was not a decision based on his health or his capacity to govern. It was based on his belief that for the party and for the country, the best path toward defeating Donald Trump would be for him to pass the torch. Again, an incredibly patriotic and selfless decision by him, but it was not based on his health. It was not based on his capacity. I saw the president about a month ago, and what I saw personally and what I've seen in press conferences where he's talking about deeply complicated international policy after the NATO summit, what I have seen up close and what I have seen in public is a president who continues to understand the issues that the American people face very deeply, who still is an incredibly effective president. Again, over the last 4 years, up until now, he continues to deliver historic change, and I know he will continue to deliver progress over the next 5 or 6 months as he finishes up his historic term as president. And he'll, as Senator Carper says, run through the tape. I'm confident of that. This incredibly disingenuous effort by Republicans to mischaracterize the decision by the president not to seek re-election, this incredibly, frankly, offensive effort by MAGA extremists to capitalize on this moment is an act of desperation on their part. They are seeking to undermine the enthusiasm that Democrats have. They are seeking to reclaim the story because they see the narrative falling away from them. They see the narrative moving away from them. They see the enthusiasm and the momentum moving away from them. And so this ridiculous assertion that the 25th Amendment should be invoked is a desperate political ploy by them. It is a desperate and offensive political ploy by them. And it's a reflection of shift in momentum.
Do you see it actually being a possibility?
No, it's not only not a possibility, it's 100% not necessary.
Yeah,
I mean, even Republicans who have met with the president recently have said he's a great negotiator. They've said he's present and focused in meetings, able to hash out details and summon details that people half his age can't summon. Again, I saw the president a month ago. He was the same man I have seen over the last few years. He's the same man I've known throughout my life. Joe Biden absolutely has what it takes to continue to be president. And these statements by MAGA extremists are disingenuous and a desperate political attempt.
I would normally say, yeah, the 25th Amendment definitely won't be invoked, but I never would have thought that the president would be asked to not run again. You know what I mean? Due to his whatever they're calling it, or lack of. I would never have believed that. So we're living in these times where things are moving so fast. I never would have believed that someone would have taken a shot at our previous president during a rally. I mean, so many things are happening, and I know people at home feel the same way. It's just, you're not at a point where things can't happen. Things can happen, and we need to just be aware of those things.
Politics is certainly in unprecedented territory. There is no question of that. And we've seen things over the last several weeks and months that I, certainly hoped and prayed we would never see, like an assassination attempt on a former president. We've seen events over the last few weeks and months that I certainly wouldn't have anticipated at even the beginning of 2024. But I think one thing I can confidently say is that there is absolutely no reason for Joe Biden to not be the president of the United States.
I love it. So as we're moving forward, let's talk a little bit about your new endeavor into trying to pick up a House seat here for the state of Delaware. Currently, there's no one. Well, there is someone running against you now. But how do you feel that you would be the best candidate moving forward?
Sure. Well, I am proud to be running as a dedicated Delaware Democrat to succeed our wonderful, joyful warrior, Lisa Blunt Rochester, in the United States House of Representatives. I'm proud to have her endorsement in this campaign. I'm proud to have the endorsement of the person who I hope we will be voting in as the first Black Speaker of the House in January, Hakeem Jeffries. And I'm running and have their support because Delaware only sends one person to the United States House of Representatives. We have to send someone who's able, from day one, to roll up their sleeves, dive into the details, bring people together, and deliver real and lasting change. That's exactly what I've done in the Delaware General Assembly, where I passed paid family and medical leave, where I helped lead the charge to pass the most significant gun safety package in state history, where I've co-sponsored the effort to raise the minimum wage, and where I just passed with unanimous bipartisan support the largest investment in our state's Medicaid program, which 1 in 3 Delawareans rely on for health insurance, the largest ongoing investment in that program since the Affordable Care Act itself. I know what it takes to get things done. I know what it takes to make a legislative body work better. And Lord knows we need Congress to work better for all of us. We need Congress to be able to act on all of the issues that matter, from healthcare and housing to childcare and paid leave to gun safety and reproductive freedom. And we need Delaware's sole member of Congress to be someone who has the relationships, who has the experience, and who has the knowledge of how to make government work better for our families and make government work better for Delaware. And that's why I'm running, and that's why I'm proud to have the support of House leadership at the federal level, the Delaware Democratic Party, Congresswoman Blunt Rochester, a majority of Democrats in the Delaware General Assembly, Senator Carper, Governor Carney, and others in this race. And I'm going to continue to work my heart out over the next several months. I've been running for a year, but I'm going to continue to work my heart out to earn the support of Delawareans in the primary and in the general election, because I truly believe that no one has any inherent right to a seat. I believe service is earned. And I believe that running a full campaign makes a candidate a better member of Congress. And so I'm thrilled with the support that has come in, and I'm excited for the next few months ahead of us.
And we're excited that you're running. For me, my concern as a Delawarean, and not just as the host of the agenda, but ensuring that we are keeping jobs flowing into the state of Delaware. I believe that our representatives in DC are also economic developers for us as well.
Yeah.
They're allowing for legislation to be passed that's helping Delawareans and helping bring business into Delaware and doing some great things that way. I believe, and my political science knowledge is that when people are working, people are better. Our schools are better. So many things are better once revenue starts pouring in. I hope that you can continue what we have. We've been blessed over the past, I guess I would say more or less 12 years with 2 years with Vice President Biden, then 4 years with President Biden. Delaware was at the forefront of a lot of conversations. We were not overlooked in the conference rooms in DC and in the White House because we had representation there. We had a great Delaware delegation and knew how to get things done.
Yep.
Delawareans, are they feeling? I feel that we have another great person that's in there that can handle that. Please tell us a little bit about why you would do a good job with that as well.
Sure. No, well, I think you're absolutely right that we need the federal government to act in order for Delawareans to have good paying jobs with real benefits, in order to guarantee that every child from birth through graduation has a quality education, to help make our communities safer, and to help protect our rights and our dignity. Delawareans need progress on all of those issues. But again, Congress is, people say, why on earth would you want to go to the United States House of Representatives? It is a dumpster fire.
Right.
At a certain point, we've got to run into the fire.
Right.
And I have already delivered meaningful policies for Delawareans up and down this state in the Delaware General Assembly, policies that have helped to create jobs, policies that have helped to enhance benefits, policies that have raised wages, policies that have expanded access to healthcare, policies that have protected our rights and our dignity. Again, as a state legislator just this past month, the only way we're going to get jobs in Delaware from the federal government is with ongoing federal investment. I've already passed legislation that's going to result in the largest infusion of federal resources into our state's Medicaid program since the ACA. I know how to get federal investment. I know how to get federal support so that Delaware can continue to grow our economy, as President Biden says, from the middle out, not the top down. I know what it takes. I know what it takes to make Congress work better. That's why I'm running. Listen, it's easy to talk about what we need to do. It's easy to talk about these goals. It's another thing to actually deliver. Governing is hard. Legislating is hard. And we know from Donald Trump that someone just entering in without any experience, legislating, doing the hard work of governing, we know what that results in.
And it's hard to make up after their mistakes, right? So it's hard to recover. It's hard to calm a country. And President Biden helped us as being what they said, the comforter in chief, right? To help explain a lot of things to a lot of different Americans and kind of calm down where we currently stood as a country back in 2020 when he accepted office.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And so we need folks who are able to work across the political divide. I've introduced and passed dozens of bills in the Delaware General Assembly. All but one have passed with bipartisan support. I've got support from Democratic and Republican elected officials across this state. And so I will be able to enter Congress from day one with the relationships, with the knowledge, with the experience to not only pass the policies that Delawareans need, but to ensure that we're, as they say, bringing home the bacon so that we get the federal investment and the federal support that our state needs to improve our schools, to grow our economy, and to make our state safer and kinder for all of us.
Well, we can't let you go without talking about your current district, District 1 here in the state of Delaware. You're still serving there. Senator McBride, what's great going on currently in your home district?
Well, first off, to the point that we were just saying, in the Delaware General Assembly, including just this year, I'm proud to have secured millions of dollars in investment in infrastructure and organizations in the 1st Senate District. From my first year, helping to secure $2.5 million to build a new learning lab with FAME, which is a great organization working to increase diversity in the pipeline for our STEM careers, including students of color and young girls who are in our schools, to investments in our infrastructure, getting bridges reopened that unfortunately were damaged back in that once-in-a-century storm we saw in 2021. Getting investments into this district has been a top priority, and we're starting to see a lot of those investments coming to fruition for Delawareans in the 1st Senate District. Again, I'm proud that this past legislative session, I've passed legislation that'll expand access to healthcare, that will bring more jobs to our state, that'll improve our schools and expand access to early childhood education. Those are policies that benefit 1st District residents, and of course, policies that benefit Delawareans up and down this state.
Well, I feel like I could talk to you all day. I really do. And that's a good thing. But thank you so much for coming on today, talking to us, letting us know the inside of what's going on, and being very candid with us. We definitely appreciate it. And we hope to see you again on the show very soon. And if there's ever anything that we can do here on the agenda to help you, please let us know.
Thank you. I look forward to joining you again. Thanks so much, Kerwin.
Thank you, Senator McBride. Thank you all for tuning in again on a special edition of The Agenda. We appreciate it, and we will see you soon, hopefully next week. Have a great one.